Well, kid, it's your first day on the beat. Take a look around you. You see these kids? You're the protector, a defender of justice. And it's your job to maintain their safety.
Yeah, I can't wait to start throwing these kids in the slammer, right?
Is that what they taught you at the academy? Because here, in the real world, that malarkey don't fly. These students are here to learn, and it's our mission to help them, educate them, show them how to be responsible members of the community. If you're just gonna spend all day harassing kids and giving people a hard time, well, why don't you take a bus to Timbuktu? We have a saying here in Chucktown, teach a man to fish, he'll fish for a lifetime. But you throw a fish in jail at the slightest provocation, well, you're just gonna end up with a jail full of fish.
Well, what if the fish in question are already rotten?
Come on, kid. I got some people I want you to meet.
Hey, fellas, this is our newest rookie. These are some of our force's finest. These men and women have been through it all. And if you listen to what they have to say, well, you might just turn out to be a fine campus cop one day. This here is Victor Crown Vic Crown. If it's got 4 wheels and an engine block, he can take it apart and put it back together.
What's up?
This here's Columbia. He's a security expert with a nose for danger.
Hey, Columbia, you got a first name?
Lieutenant.
And over here we have Wheels, a bicycle cop with thighs of steel and an iron will.
We should go for a ride sometime.
Detective Blazer. His powers of perception are world-renowned, and no one can match his sense of style.
Pleased to meet you, old chap.
This here Smoke Eater is Firestorm. Now she's a firefighter, not a cop. But we keep her around because she makes a killer barbecue sandwich. Hey, when are you gonna give me that recipe?
Not in your life, McManus. How you doing, kid? McManus giving you a hard time?
And next we have Professor Havoc, an ex-Navy SEAL who also holds 3 PhDs.
I specialize in exotic botanicals and explosives.
That's our team. Any questions?
Well, yeah, a few. First of all, if we're not supposed to lock the kids up, what are we here to do?
Well, a pivotal role for any campus police officer is to ensure that the students have street smarts. And no one knows the streets of Charleston better than Crown Vic.
You look like you're not from around here, rookie. Where you from?
Well, I grew up in a farm in Minnesota.
That's a far cry from the city. In an urban environment, you need to keep your wits about you at all times. There are 5 things that every student needs to remember to stay safe and out of trouble when going from one place to another.
Take some notes, kid.
Students should always remember to travel in groups, especially at night or when traveling to unfamiliar parts of town. At the very least, use the buddy system.
The buddy system? What's that?
This means that when a student is traveling at night, should always remember to bring a buddy along to watch their back in case a situation gets a little unsavory. Like that one time Jimmy Thanksgiving was traveling out late one night without a buddy. Jimmy was a first-year kid. Not too bright, but he had a good heart. Anyway, I was out cruising in my souped-up squad car when I got a call for a 3611. That's walkie talk for vandalism. It seems Jimmy had seen something shiny down deep in the barrel of one of those old cannons they got down there. Anyway, he decided to reach for it. You ever try to reach for that last pickle, kid? It wasn't pretty. It took 7 hours, 4 quarts of Group 4 base oil, and a bucket of axle grease before we managed to pull him free. Kid smelled like a dancing tin man for a week. If he only had a buddy to talk through the situation with, maybe they would have realized that what he thought was a gold coin was really just a bent token from Frankie's Fun Park. And it was expired. Anyway, if a group of students are going to be drinking alcohol, they should make sure to have a designated driver. And of course, you should always call a cab if you had a little too much, rather than driving yourself home. If worse comes to worse, and a student can't find a buddy, you can always call the Cougar Shuttle at 1-888 960-2227. And the shuttle will pick up students and drop them off anywhere on the peninsula. And anytime a student feels unsafe on campus at night, they can call CFC PD for an escort. We're here to make sure that students and visitors on or near our campus are safe.
Wow, it sounds like as long as students observe those simple and precautionary measures, they can significantly improve their safety and well-being.
Now you're getting a kid.
Okay. Street smarts are all well and good when you're traveling across and away from campus. But what if you're not traveling at all? What if you're at home?
I'll take this one. Campus police, crime prevention officers, are available to conduct residential security surveys free of charge to College of Charleston community members. We analyze students' homes and provide a list of problems and advice on how to secure your property and your own personal safeties. There's no price you could put on the safety and well-being of our students. It reminds me of a case called the Masked Bandit. I got called on a burglary investigation. Kid's name was Jimmy Thanksgiving. He was a freshman, kind of slow in the uptake, but he was a nice enough kid. Said someone was poking around in the attic. We took a peek and I saw a window was unlocked. We searched the perimeter and we found a raccoon hiding in the bushes with Jimmy's watch. It took some scrounging, but we managed to find some cuffs that were small enough. The raccoon wouldn't talk. My partner was convinced he was acting alone, but I recently learned in studies that show raccoons engage in gender-specific social behaviors. Sure enough, I climbed the tree and I found the hideout. Those raccoons were running a first-rate crime ring. Jewelry, banknotes, counterfeit sunglasses. It turned out to be a lucky night for Johnny Law, but if Jimmy requested a security analysis of his home, it would have saved him a whole lot of trouble. And there's just one more thing!
Yeah?
I'm gonna go get me a sandwich.
You see, kid, when we say we do whatever it takes to keep our kids safe, we mean whatever it takes.
It's just a shame, that no matter how hard or long we work for these kids, crime is unavoidable. Homes are still going to be broken into, property's going to be stolen. Every time I think about it, I just get so mad!
Well, that's a sad fact of the human condition, old chap. But don't despair. For even if the criminal element manages to steal the occasional laptop or iPad, we're still here to help. In fact, we offer an engraving service to students, so they can engrave their name and driver's license number on their valuables. If we can trace the property through identifying means, then it helps us link the crime to the criminal. Obviously, it's better not to have your property stolen in the first place. Students should never leave valuables or electronics unattended, old chap. I can recall one evening when I was hosting a fancy soiree on my yacht in the harbor. All the city's wealthiest socialites were in attendance. Just as Humphreys was dispensing the claret, suddenly the lights went out, and when the power was restored, Viscount Thurgood Periwinkle, heir to the Duchy of Malgrave, was face down in the Cherries Jubilee, dead. We never did solve the murder, but we did find on the Viscount's person a stolen iPod. Fortunately, it was engraved with the proper owner's name. Unfortunately, the engraving only consisted of the victim's first name, Jimmy. I had to interview 47 Jimmies before I linked it to Jimmy Thanksgiving. He was one dreadfully dim-witted, but charitable soul. I informed him that in the future, he should engrave his valuables with more than just his first name.
And it's not just iPods and laptops that get stolen, Crooks will even go after students' bicycles. It sickens me. And to think all that bike boosting can easily be prevented with a sturdy U-lock. And you can conveniently register your bicycle at our campus headquarters. Of course, even the strongest U-lock in the world won't prevent all crime. One time, I was out cruising on my fixie when I witnessed a bike jacking in broad daylight. The victim was this kid I knew named Jimmy Thanksgiving. Kind of a featherbrain, but always well-mannered and considerate. Anyway, I gave chase, but the crook had a head start and he disappeared around a corner. I thought all was lost until a couple of days later when I got a make on the bicycle thief on King Street. I knew he was French because there were 2 baguettes in the basket. As we were racing through heavy traffic, I thought of my training for the Tour de France. I remembered that the French bicyclists are trained to brake hard to the left, so I forced him down Dead Man's Right Turn Hairpin Alley. We caught the crook, but the bicycle was totaled. Poor Jimmy. Seems like that kid can't get a break.
You know, while you campus cowboys are out defending truth and justice and whatnot, maybe you could do us firefighters a favor and give them a tip or two on fire and EMS.
What kind of tips, Firestorm?
Our students can rest easy knowing the College of Charleston has a premier fire alarm system that's largely computer monitored. It's nice to know your home is safe, but it's even nicer to know you have a home to come to, one that isn't on fire. Every student should have a good emergency fire plan, and that plan should be put into practice with regular fire drills. If there's one thing I've learned from cooking up barbecue all these years, it's that practice makes perfect. Of course, some folks have to learn things the hard way, like this time I was called out to a kitchen fire on campus. Turned out to be this kid named Jimmy Thanksgiving. Dumb as a bag of hammers, but always prepossessing and unpresumptuous. Turns out it was just a burnt bag of popcorn, but Jimmy didn't have a plan. When we busted down the door, we found him running around in circles and screaming like a headless chicken. Well, I guess headless chickens don't scream, but you get the idea. Once we extinguished the smoky popcorn, we explained to Jimmy that he should have had a good idea of where the exits were, and he should have made his way out immediately at the first sign of fire. He was thankful to be alive, but movie night was ruined for sure.
See, kid? Our job is more than just yanking kids off the street and throwing them in the clinker.
You know, back in my day, things were a lot simpler. A campus cop was more concerned with finding out who raided the sorority's panty drawers, or who put a brazier on the founder's statue, or who put a goat in the dean's office. Why, one time back in 1953, the kids from Beta Omega Beta talked old James Thanksgiving Sr. into sitting on a flagpole. They were going for a record. James was as thick as molasses, but his heart was in the right place. What they didn't count on was the biggest lightning storm in Charleston's history. And when he finally woke up, his hair was more spiky than a porcupine. We all laughed and laughed. I still think about that today. But these days, with all the dangers that face American students, I think our most important responsibility is to educate. We want our students to know that they can approach us at any time with their questions and concerns. We care deeply about the students here that we protect. I think it's high time that these young whippersnappers learn that we are just as important here as the professors.
That's right, we have a philosophy we call COP, Community-Oriented Policing. It means that we all have to work together to ensure that this is a safe learning environment.
Yeah, I'll bet my 67 Impala that if we do work together, public safety, students, and the community can cut down crime and keep our streets safe and clean.
After all, what is public safety? Without the students, without people, it's just a building, a department, a title.
You make a difference. We need you to be part of a safe, strong, proud College of Charleston community.
But wait, I just have one more question.
What's that?
When can I have one of those famous barbecue sandwiches?
Kid, you're gonna be A-okay.